So I hopped on TOPSPIN 2K25 for the first time, right? And I instantly hopped on the brand new career mode. So ladies and gents, please let me introduce to you my player. Say hello to Pete Davidson. As you can see, this boy here has been swinging that tennis racket back and forth like no tomorrow, I promise you. Buddy over here was on a journey to becoming one of the top players in tennis history in recent years. However, despite going through so much trials and tribulations in which you will see throughout the remainder of this video, he did have a fresh start at the very least, because apparently throughout the first few games that he played in his newly made tennis career, Pete Davidson impressed tons of people by going back and forth against his opponents. Like I said, he has the complete accuracy to swing that tennis racket back and forth. And so I made Pete Davidson in TOPSPIN 2K25 to see if he can do so much on the tennis court than he does in his comedic stand-ups. Now, these next couple of clips right here will show you how Pete has been going through so much trials and tribulations against certain opponents. For instance, this guy right here, he was not letting up despite him and Pete going back and forth once again, like I said, for the millionth time. However, Pete was not going to let up because he has no choice but to defend his position as one of the top prospects to look forward to in tennis right now. And so early on in the career mode, Pete Davidson did exactly just that. He wanted to prove everybody wrong in the entire tournament scene. No matter how skilled these players are, this man here wants to show these people exactly who is boss. So therefore, I would like to invite you on a short recap of his own journey to becoming the greatest of all time in TOPSPIN 2K25. Those are some bars, people. Somebody write that down in the comment section. But anyway, moving on. Of course, this game right here was also super close. This guy, I forgot his name, was Dixon or something like that. I forgot his entire name. But this dude here, he was not letting Pete get away with this victory. And so Dixon wanted to put so much pressure on this man. However, Pete was not having it. And so he ended up winning the entire tournament. And so Pete Davidson finally gets to hold that trophy for the very first time in his newly made tennis career. Let's go. So after taking over the tennis world by storm, it appears that he called out an open challenge to none other than Naomi Osaka herself. As you guys might know, Naomi Osaka is one of the best players in the tennis game right now as far as female players go. Meanwhile, Pete Davidson, who just got started, is looking a bit nervous. He's looking a bit wary, a bit anxious about how this is going to go because he has never played against anybody at her caliber before. And so this is going to be one of those interesting matches to look forward to. But at the end of the day, it's all about the pure competition if you look at it from that angle, okay? And so here we are on the first set. Pete Davidson and Naomi Osaka are going back at it with each other, swinging those tennis rackets back and forth. Of course, Naomi scores the first point as usual because apparently she's too talented to play against this guy. Let's be real here. But yet, Pete is not going to let up, and so he has to score for the first time just so he won't get absolutely embarrassed in front of these people here at the Amsterdam Park. And so he finally didn't score a second time, and so it's already 30-0. And of course, as you can see, Pete Davidson is trying so hard to keep up, but even then, her speed was just too much for him to handle. So how can Pete Davidson compete against somebody of her caliber, like I just said before? But at the same time, they're going back at it. But this time, Pete Davidson luckily scores his first point. Now it's 40-15. And so, Pete Davidson and Naomi are not giving up despite the match has already started. And I mean, what do you expect? Naomi scored the next point, okay? So now that's the first set going to Osaka. Now the second set, Pete Davidson was like, okay, she won the first set. How can I even beat somebody like her on the second set? And so Pete Davidson had a game plan. He was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and try not to rush my swings. And so instead, he had to take his time. He has got to take his time with it, okay? And so Pete Davidson was going to go ahead and try to be patient as possible, which gave him another point on the board. And so now it is 15-30. And so Naomi has got to put some more pressure on Pete. And of course, she is not doing so because you know why? Pete Davidson knew exactly what he was doing. He was going to go ahead and take some time putting in that pressure, but also wait for her next move. And so he was playing a chess match with Naomi Osaka. Can you imagine that? Pete Davidson was playing chess, waiting for her next move. And so he was waiting for the perfect chance to strike and find an opening. So that way she wouldn't be able to catch on with his swing, if that makes sense. And so Naomi took notice, and then she had to respond by scoring a point of her own. And so now it is 15-15, tie game. And so Pete Davidson was not going to let any of that slide. But even then, Naomi was catching up just a little bit. And now the game is tied once again. But of course, Pete Davidson saw another opening, which led him to scoring another point on the board. 30-40. And of course, Naomi Osaka responds, but apparently she somehow hit the net. I don't know why. What is Buddy over here doing? He's getting a little too excited. Look at him. Anyways, moving on to the fourth official set of this long game. And of course, Pete Davidson had to bait her into that trap in which she accidentally hit the net again, which granted him 2 points off rip. And so it is 0-30. But of course, Naomi had to respond once again. And so it was like, pick your poison here. And so these two were battling it over and over and over for minutes on end. And so when will this game ever stop? But of course, Pete Davidson has to find another opening. And so he got that last point. And that ought to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is just a little something. And of course, unfortunately, I forgot to record the rest of the footage. I wasn't sure if the game kept on going, but this is just a one-time thing. But if you guys do want more TOPSPIN 2K25 footage, be sure to comment down below what else you guys want to see next after this. I'm out. It's been viral. Peace.